Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for the opportunity to make my maiden speech. If members were to Google my name as a new MP, they would find the website of Steve Barclay, the comedian and cabaret entertainer. I can assure the House that this is not me or an unregistered second job. My speech, I'm afraid, lacks the zany comedy and in-house musical backing that he offers. And the current headline on his website, that Barclay storms the cabaret floor, is sadly one I fear the local paper, the Cambs Times, will never ascribe to my performance in this House. It is the custom to pay tribute to your predecessor, but in my case it's a real pleasure. My predecessor was Malcolm Moss, who served the constituency of North East Cambridgeshire for 23 years with great distinction. He served first as a town, district and county councillor, before going on to defeat the talented Clement Freud, and then was a minister for Northern Ireland in the last Conservative government, before holding a variety of shadow bench roles, playing a key role on the licensing bill, and was a senior member of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the last Parliament. Malcolm was widely liked in this House and locally, and he will be very much missed. Mr. Deputy Speaker, North East Cambridgeshire stretches from the Lincolnshire and Norfolk border all the way down to the edge of Ely and Peterborough. It is the largest constituency in Cambridgeshire in what is the fastest growing county in the country. It is perhaps still better known for its former constituency name of the Isle of Ely, although it's really best known as the Fens. As I'm sure all members of this House will know, the Fens were first drained in the mid-17th century to produce the fertile farming land we have today. It is a distinct landscape with endless fields, big skies, hosting blood-red sunsets, beneath which the traditional festivals such as the Straw Fair or the Straw Bear or the Rose Fair still take place. Farming remains a crucial part of our economy, and as food security becomes ever more important, it is a vital national asset. Our fields and homes are protected by the work of the Middle Level Commission and the many internal drainage boards, and I urge my Right Honourable friend, the member for Newbury, not to interfere in those internal drainage boards, as was proposed by the last government and is currently under review. I want to focus my remarks today, Mr. Deputy Speaker, on a second drainage that is taking place in the Fens. It is not leaving fertile land, but rather one that is barren, as more and more assets are centralised in our cities, in a paradox as houses are built in rural communities. There is a misconception that all rural areas are rich. 18 of 25 of the most deprived wards in Cambridgeshire are in Fenland alone. 1 in 10 people in my constituency have used the excellent services of the Citizens Advice Bureau in the last 12 months alone, 43% of which was for advice on personal debt, where the manager, Linda Hutchinson, does such a formidable job. There is an issue that prosperous areas mask the pockets of deprivation in rural communities and often float us above the aggregate score on which national funding is usually targeted. This drainage of our amenities continues at a scary pace. We have recently lost our driving test centre, even though it was only costing £11,000 in rent a year. Our new further education college was scrapped a month before building work was due to begin. Local pubs are closing, and there is a battle on a number of them, not least Claire Hammond's fight to save the Nag's Head in Eastry. And we now face the closure of our magistrates' court, and adjacent to that is the police court, where the police cells have already been closed, and I will be in discussions with ministers on that. We pay as a community twice as much to the Exchequer as we receive in business rates as we receive back in the local settlement grant. And it is time that the funding imbalance between the rural shires in England and elsewhere in the United Kingdom is looked at again. I want to resist the temptation in my remarks today to focus on the last government's legacy. Anyone in doubt can look at that temple of waste, which is the regional fire headquarters in Cambridgeshire, which was built at a cost of £23 million and stands empty because they can't get the emergency phone lines to work. Instead of large regional projects, we need to focus spending much more effectively and in a targeted manner to deliver the jobs and services that we need in rural communities like mine. Firstly, we need to target money more wisely. The budget was painful, but it was necessary. However, I still feel there are areas where policy needs to catch up with the new reality. Constituents in North East Cambridgeshire are staggered that we are borrowing money in order to simply give it away to countries like China and India that can afford a space programme. Likewise, factory workers in my constituency in food packaging who are on modest incomes still wonder why councils can put as much as 20% of their total income into staff pensions. Secondly, we need a clearer distinction between what is investment and what is spending, and I think the lines have been deliberately blurred in recent years. The Fens is only 100 miles from London, and yet it's held back by the chronic lack of transport infrastructure. Wisbech, the capital of the Fens, has no rail line. It used to have 2 train stations. It's got a single carriageway road, the A47, not improved in over 50 years. Its port, the only one in Cambridgeshire, was more used even in Roman times than it is today. And some of our villages around Wisbech get just 1 bus a week. Money needs to be focused on areas that can deliver economic return, including transport and our further education college. And we also need to use money where it will directly save lives. And I commend the campaign of my constituent Graham Chappell, who has done so much work to highlight the issue of deep waterways adjacent to our fen roads, where we have had so many fatalities. Thirdly, we need to empower far more our small business base. North East Cambridgeshire is not just about farming. We have many small and medium-sized businesses, such as the high-value engineering firm Metalcraft in Chatteris. I'm delighted that we are expanding the apprenticeship scheme. But grants can also have a positive effect. In the commercial world, the aim is always to try and make it easier for your customers to access your products. And the public sector needs to do the same and cut the duplication and time-consuming paperwork when it comes to small businesses which don't have specialised staff accessing grants. Mr. Speaker, in over 80 years, my constituency has had just 4 members of Parliament. I hope it's a tradition they will continue. I will speak up for this forgotten fen landscape, which is distinct and beautiful. It is not currently getting its fair share of resources. We need to target government spending more effectively so that we can unlock the potential that the Fens can offer to deliver the growth our economy needs.